Hey, what's up, everybody? I'm Beaux Emerson, and welcome back to another episode of Watch What You Say podcast. Episode 3 is going to be titled Say It With Your Chest. Thank you to everybody who has been commenting and listening and watching on YouTube. Thank you. I see the DMs. I get the messages. Thank you to my producer extraordinaire, Mike Klein, who all of the lovely edits and things that you see are not from me. They are from him. And so, again, thank you for everybody who is tuning in to Watch What You Say podcast. We're going to kick things off just with a little bit of kind of a catch up. You know, what have I been doing? I neglected to say, for those who do not know who I am, I'm Beaux Emerson, and I am an actor, singer, musician, all that good stuff. And I've done theater shows, television, and movies, and have music on everywhere. But I decided to start this podcast because I had something to say. Hence the name, Watch What You Say, and how our words have power, how your words can shape your future, and how your words can also build communication and build relationships with not only romantic, but with professional as well. And so thank you for all coming on this journey. And episode 3, and the goal is to get through the first 10. And once you get through the first 10, it's only up from there. So thank you for sticking with us. But what have I been up to? Most recently, I did a tribute to Motown in celebration of Juneteenth. The local theater that I work with, Grand Theater Road Company, we put together a Juneteenth celebration honoring the songs and melodies of Motown. And so I did Marvin Gaye, and I sang a song called Money, That's What I Want, from an artist named Barrett Strong, who, ironically enough, that was the very first hit on Motown. So I did that, and we also did a 4 Tops Temptations medley. So it was a lot of fun, surrounded by a bunch of talented vocalists. Really good time, and that was one night only, and we were sold out. So it was really great. What else? I've been in therapy again. I know people have asked me how therapy is going, and therapy is I'm 13 months in, and so it has really changed my life. I think that when you do the shadow work, you really start to grow as a human being, and you really begin to peel back the layers and right those wrongs and move forward in a positive way. And also you learn how to hold yourself accountable, hold other people accountable, and you develop good coping skills. So I'm trying to think, what else have I been up to? Trying to stay cool, because if you know, like I know, it is hot. It is summer, hence me showing the muscles and the tank top. But it's hot outside. And so I know people complain about the weather, but it was like 100 degrees already here in the Philly, Jersey, tri-state area. And it's humid, so that makes it much worse. You stand outside and your clothes just start sticking to you. And sometimes it's hard to breathe. So, but outside of that, life has been good, just learning and growing, and just trying to be a better human being 1% every day. So yeah, to say it with your chest, essentially that means that you speak from your whole self. It's not about yelling. It's all about truth telling with confidence. And because sometimes what's killing us isn't what happened to us. It's more of what we swallowed and never said. Yeah. And now we're going to get into something that goes along with saying it with our chests. And one of the explanations essentially says why we shrink. Let us kind of talk about some of the things and reasons why we are holding back or are held back. We're conditioned to shrink, essentially. We're told, don't rock the boat, don't make it awkward, or Don't upset the brand. Don't upset the boss. Don't upset the bae or the boo. But essentially, what is the cost of playing things small, of kind of diminishing your light in the presence of others? It results in lost peace, lost confidence, and lost identity. I think identity is something that every human being tends to struggle with. And I'm not talking about people's orientation or anything like that. I'm just talking about who we are at the base level of being a human. Because sometimes we want to be liked by most people. We want to be loved. We want to feel seen. We want to feel heard, that our stories matter, that our light matters. And that's not always possible given the nature of your relationship with someone or given the environment that you're in. Sometimes to protect yourself, and that is a callback to using silence as a protective mechanism, we kind of use that as a defense mechanism to not, again, ruffle the feathers, bring attention to ourselves. Because, believe it or not, there are some households where you speaking up or you exerting individuality could lead to you getting teased or you being put out or laughed at in your family, especially if you're somebody who is an artist or you're someone who is the first in your family to have aspirations to do something big. If your family and friends haven't seen that done before, if their only example of that is someone on television and you're attempting to do the same thing, 9 times out of 10, they're not going to see it the way you see it. And so sometimes we will shrink ourselves and maybe not. If you're an artist, let's say you're a painter. Well, you may not say that you have paintings in a gallery showing because you don't want your parents or people to laugh at you or something like that, because it's something that you're doing that's not normal to them, but it's something that you need to do to grow your artistry. So that's something to think about. It really does result, playing it small does result in lost peace, lost confidence, and lost identity. And when you mute your truth, your soul starts whispering, is this who we really are? And that's something that speaks to identity. And I'm not saying that you have to tell everybody everything, because everyone doesn't deserve all of you at any given time. There's some things that you should be able to keep to yourself, but still have a baseline of truth, love, and confidence with yourself. So essentially, if you can't say it with your chest, you may not be standing in your truth. And now we are going to get into some pop culture, entertainment, and even a little bit of politics with the culture check-in. Kind of, who's in the hot seat. So let's kind of zoom out for a second. We are in an era of viral vulnerability, soundbite healing and hacking, clickbait, and hot take confidence, if you will. But are we really speaking from conviction? Are we, as they say, standing on business? Or are we just performing bravery for clicks? Perfect example would be during the George Floyd protests that erupted during the pandemic. If you paid close attention on Instagram, you had instances of people who were not a part of the march protesting or walking in support of George Floyd. There was people who, just to be a part of the moment, coming outside, standing, taking a picture, a photo op with protesters, just so that they could post it and people could say, hey, you support us, or hey, you're down with us. And essentially false, I can't even think of the word, but it was just, lying, not really, really being about it, but just doing it for the clickbait. Confidence without clarity is just noise. Simple as that. And we need a new kind of bold, one that just doesn't echo, but it anchors. I like that. We need a new kind of boldness, a boldness that is not an echo, but that anchors. And again, when you're anchored, that means that you have confidence. When you have confidence, that shows that you are secure in your identity. But in keeping with the clickbait of things, there are 3 stories that I think deserve our attention. Most notably today, as I pull up my information here, and don't hit the mic like I wanted, but the Supreme Court ruled regarding birthright citizenship. And so there's a lot of, people are up in arms on both sides because, one thinks that people are going to be deported as a result of this. Essentially, what the Supreme Court did, it says, citing an NPR article, it says, after the Supreme Court issued a ruling that limits the ability of federal judges to issue universal injunctions, but didn't rule on the legality of President Trump's executive order on birthright citizenship, immigrant rights groups are trying a new tactic by filing a national class action lawsuit. So Section 1 of the 14th Amendment cites that, a person who is born or naturalized here, I'm paraphrasing, but naturalized here, is a citizen of the United States. What this administration is seeking to do is to ultimately terminate naturalized citizens. So that means if my mom and dad are from Haiti or from Ghana or, any place overseas, they come to the United States on a work visa, legally, or even if they're here illegally or their visas expire, they're pregnant with me, I'm born here in the U.S., I become an American citizen automatically because I'm born here on the soil. What this administration is seeking to do is to say that that is not correct, that if your parents are not from here, even if you were born here, you are not an American citizen. And what that would do, birthright citizenship has essentially been a right since the 1850s, I believe. I think so. So you're talking about over 100 years of something being in place that hasn't bothered anyone. And so what this administration is seeking to do is to be able to say that you are no longer a U.S. citizen. We don't care if you're born here or not. Your parents are not from this country, so you are not from this country. And so what essentially is going to happen now is that there are going to be class action suits filed, and these will protect certain individuals or those individuals in those class suits, as opposed to being a blanket jurisdiction to say that all of these people are not protected under that. So we're keeping an eye on that. The Supreme Court has not doesn't leave a lot of hope, but I will say that the bill always comes due, and what that means is that there's always a flip. And so while people may not have the foresight to see that if you go down this road of all of these executive orders, all these types of things, that once that person, whether they're Democrat or Republican, once they are no longer in office, the next one that comes in can do a whole bunch of executive orders and things and essentially erase what has been put in place, because an executive order is not a law. And so with that, we also have the big, beautiful bill. And if you're listening to this, or whenever you're watching this, I would like to hope that the Senate does not pass this big, beautiful bill, because it is essentially a continuation of major tax cuts for the rich and wealthy, the top 1 to 5%, while also gutting programs like Medicaid and SNAP benefits for people who need government assistance. And so I think about people in my life who need those things, who are working a regular job, who are just trying to make ends meet because, prices of eggs go up, but, raises aren't given. And so people are out here struggling. And so to have this bill that essentially fattens the pockets of our wealthiest people while taking from the least of us, those who need help, and also throwing in some other little things that hurt more than it helps people, I think it causes one to lose faith in the government, because you would think that if this is a government for the people, by the people, you can clearly see that sometimes it's flipped on one side, and the people who are in power are not looking out for the least of those. So keep an eye out on that. If it passes, then we're just going to have to deal with it and take it as it comes. But it's scary out here. And we also cannot forget about the debacle that was the Iran, Israel, America getting involved for no reason type of thing. I just think that anyone who has watched this story unfold, and to see the United States get involved, bypassing Congress, essentially, we have laws for a reason. And so to have an administration go and bomb people without getting approval from Congress is just, and then it not even really matter, because what they thought they were doing and what they told the people that they had done did not occur. Essentially, Iran said that they had moved some of their nuclear things, months or at least weeks to maybe a month ahead of time from the locations that were destroyed. And so you did all that for nothing, or what, to show face. So keep an eye out for what is going on. We have another, I hate to think about how many more years we have of this, but I'm hoping he has a come to Jesus moment. I'm hoping that this administration has a come to Jesus moment and figures out that America is, what makes America beautiful is our diversity, our equity, and our inclusion. And so no matter the government stripping rights from Black and brown people, from women, from LGBTQIA+, from immigrants, we're all in this together. And so I think we have to remember that each one teach one. We are our brother's keeper. We are our sister's keeper. And so I think that these times that we're in are going to make us stronger, but we have to cut the fat away. So next story. I know everyone's been holding their breath, but I think that we are almost at the end of the Sean Puffy Diddy Puff, whatever his name is, Diddy's trial. Anyone who's been paying attention knows that this trial was like crazy. I remember hearing stories about then Sean Puffy Combs as a middle school and teenager, hearing stories about him doing all types of freaky, crazy things. And so to be an adult and to hear people's testimony, to read the court documents, to read the lawsuit, and see things that are said under oath, it makes you really, really understand that things are not always cracked up to what they're supposed to be, which speaks back to people's identity, because a lot of the stuff that these people were participating in and doing, if they had good self-esteem, or well, I won't say if they had good self-esteem, but if they really were secure in who they were, some of the stuff that they participated in, they would never have done. Sometimes you have to outweigh the costs. If I take this money to participate in this thing, what is my mental status going to be 5 years from now, 10 years from now? What happens if I am promised something and I do this? Maybe I'm not even into whatever this is, but I do it under the guise that I'm going to make you a star. I'm going to put you in rooms that you would never have a chance to be in. And so I do this thing, I give up of myself, and then you throw me away as if I never existed. Or you make things happen in such a way that now I've come to be dependent on you for more money, for more access. And each time I am tearing or eating away more at my soul each time. And so I think that this serves as a cautionary tale. I know we've had R. Kelly, and we've had our Harvey Weinsteins, and we've had our Jeffrey Epstein. But I think this Diddy trial really shows that there can be a level of Stockholm syndrome, because someone who's in an abusive situation can be so, you kind of just give up. You just kind of say, well, you know what? I can't do anything else but be a part of this. And then there's a part of you that kind of gets an excitement out of what is being done in the moment, especially where, people are in different states of mind. And so you have to wonder that, when it's all said and done, when you come down off of whatever and it's just you and you have to take a look in the mirror, are you able to live with the decisions that you made? Are you able to find peace and comfort with yourself with the decisions that you made? It's okay to take the stairs. I think I'll just leave it at that. As a person who is an actor and musician and working my way through the industry, it is definitely okay to take the stairs. You can sleep better at night. Just take the stairs. But Diddy's trial reaches according to Variety, let me give proper citing, but Diddy trial reaches explosive conclusion as defense asked jury to summon the courage to acquit Sean Combs. So it says, on the final day of the Sean Diddy Combs trial, before jury deliberations, the hip-hop mogul's attorney, Mark Agnifilo, enlivened the courtroom with an impassioned closing argument. Essentially, in the coming days, the jury will determine whether Combs is guilty of sex trafficking, racketeering, and transportation to engage in prostitution. A conviction could land him behind bars for life. Now, I don't think that he is going to get life in prison. I do personally think that he will serve some time. I think it could be I say 1 to 5 years. I think he will serve 1 to 5 years. That's me personally, because all I have to do is just get him on one of those things. I think the RICO charges carry the most. I think that carries up to 25 years. But I think that the jury is going to deliberate and find him guilty on at least one of those things. So I think he will see. I don't think he'll be out for at least another year or two. Now, if he is acquitted, I don't know that what does that say about victims of people who are actually victims of, those types of sexual predatory acts and crimes. So it'll be interesting. Next, I know. I have to talk about it. Tyler Perry. Tyler Perry allegations. If you know, you know. That's all I can say, because for a long time, people have taken issue with Tyler Perry. There have been kind of rumblings in the industry, but nothing has ever been as concrete or stated, or any type of lawsuit has been brought against him until now. And so, from the text message exchange with the individual, you would probably read into that as saying that there was, some type of kind of flirting going on in roundabout way. Nothing too explicit. But I think that this again raises another issue for those of us. I say us because I'm also in the entertainment sector, but those of us who want a career or are working towards a career in entertainment, and it is especially for men, because I feel like when men are victims of sexual harassment from a woman or even from another man, I think that there tends to be a kind of suspended disbelief, like, well, that can't happen, or that's not, you're a man, so you can just stand up for yourself. You can, punch their lights out. You can, you can handle that because you're a man. But it's not always so simple. In this case, even if this turns out to not be true, you have a dynamic where you have an actor and you have the head of a studio who is their boss, and so at the very baseline of it, there's a conflict of interest, because your boss should not be having conversations that steer in the direction of a sexual nature or personal business, relationship, love history, all that kind of stuff. That should be a clear no. So it'll be interesting. I'm keeping an eye out on this. Of course, people say what they want about Tyler Perry. Yes, he, as a billionaire, and has opened doors and paid homage to many of our, black and brown entertainer greats. At the same time, there's already a level of kind of disdain for Tyler Perry in terms of the content of the product that he puts out. On one hand, he knows his audience, and people are good for a good Madea. Chat the hell up. That's poor Madea impression, but he knows his audience, and he knows the people who supported his plays and the kind of stuff. I think the issue comes when those TV programming, the writing and the continuity issues that are not seamless. I'll say that. That's my nice way of putting that. So it's going to be interesting to see. I think that the young man, he's not really young, but I think that he will definitely get money. I'm going to be interesting to see if this goes away, because if you can remember, last year sometime there was another actor, popular actor, who went online and said in a roundabout way, talking about a studio head who was inappropriate, and no one confirmed or denied who that person was, but many would be led to believe that it was a certain person that may have been aforementioned in what I just said. So it'll be interesting to see how that plays out. And then finally, in our culture, it has been about 16 years since the great GOAT, greatest of all time, Michael Jackson, left us. He left us on June 25th, 2009. I cannot believe that it's been that long. And I was just talking with Mike, my producer, and he was saying how, what'd you say? You said you liked Remember the Time. That was his favorite. And so for me, that's the movie. Well, Michael Jackson's videos were movies, but that's the song where, like, they're in Egypt and all that kind of stuff, and had Eddie Murphy, it had Iman, and that's the one where he turns into dust and like does the dance. Yeah. He dances his ass off in that. Like, yeah. I like that. That was a good one. But I can't believe, like, it's been like 16 years. I remember where I was when Michael Jackson passed away. I didn't cry though. I think I cried when Whitney Houston died. I think, yeah. But no, the greats are gone. But I can't believe time is flying like that. Where did 16 years go? Speaking of which, I went down a rabbit hole last night. There is an app, not an app. It was on Instagram and was like top 10 hits from the 2000s, and then like it had, if you were a kid, you remember this, and it had like the old cartoon theme songs from like Tailspin, DuckTales, Chippendales Rescue Rangers, Animaniacs, and then it had like your top Nickelodeon Snick. I'm a millennial, but it had all those, Are You Afraid of the Dark? Like, it went down a rabbit hole of like nostalgia. For those of you who were born, either you were born in the 80s or grew up in the 80s and you lived through the 90s, I was stuck on Stupid yesterday for about a half hour going through that channel on Instagram. But yeah, said all that to say, time is moving so quickly. And Michael Jackson's been gone 16 years. What a time. But yeah, man. And now for some personal reflection. Real talk, essentially. There was a moment in my life where I had the mic, essentially, and I choked. And someone who is a performer, and can talk the talk, that was kind of an oh my God moment for myself. I had something to say that could have changed the direction of the room and the atmosphere of the room, and could have actually helped someone, but I played it safe and I just kind of didn't speak up. And that is one of the lessons, one of life's lessons. Speak up when you can. You can't be afraid to voice your opinion. You can't be afraid, especially when it's coming from a genuine place, when it's not to hurt anyone, not to put anyone down, or to make yourself, out of ego, be better than someone. Because I didn't want to be too much. I didn't want to lose a particular opportunity, and I didn't want to break the moment. But out of that, what I did learn from that situation, without going into detail, what I learned from that is being direct isn't being disrespectful. It's being responsible. Especially when, speaking back to silence, especially when silence costs more than courage. And again, that when we keep silent to ourselves, when we stuff our feelings down or bottle things down, it really does lead to internal stress, and our bodies are not made to put up with a whole bunch of stress. Our bodies are about releasing things, and releasing energy and not being pent up. And so when we're silent about things and don't have anywhere to channel that energy to put forth those things, we can make ourselves sick. And by making ourselves sick, sometimes we take it out on our loved ones. You take it out on your wife, your girlfriend, or whomever, or your kids, or the people at your job, or you just become irritable because you have not let certain things go. So again, just remember that being direct, and you don't have to be nasty, you don't have to be, you don't have to curse. You can get your points across. You can make your point without being a jerk. But being direct is not being disrespectful. It is being responsible. And here are some tools to help you speak boldly. Want to say it with your chest without sounding too aggressive. Try some of these. 1, clarity over chaos. Don't overtalk, over prepare. 2, tone check. What you say matters. How you say it may matter more. So, if you have something to say, a lot of times, and I'll just be very, very honest with this, as a black man in America, I am always conscious of my response, especially in professional environments, and just in general, because sometimes a black person raising their tone of voice can be seen as a threat. And so for me, what I always try to practice is saying what I need to say when I need to say it, but keeping a good level of tone and not to come off as aggressive. I don't know why that is. I think that is a outdated stereotype, but it's something that I'm always conscious of whenever I'm in a situation where I have every right to be angry. I have every right to go off, every right to, throw everything off the table, or I could shout at the top of my lungs, but I monitor my tonality and my responses and maybe I don't need to keep doing that all the time, but I do. I think it's just something ingrained in me that I do filter the tone of my responses depending on the nature of the relationship with whom there's a disagreement. So 1, again, was clarity over chaos. 2, tone check. 3, anchor in truth, not guilt. Say what is real, not what's rehearsed. 4, invite conversation, not conflict. Boldness isn't a battle, it's a bridge. I like that. Boldness isn't a battle, it's a bridge. Boldness isn't being, right louder. It's being honest deeper. And here's one of my favorite segments of the podcast, Word to the Wise. If your truth makes people uncomfortable, good. Growth is never cozy. You don't have to be everybody's favorite. You're not everybody's cup of tea. Everybody's not going to like you. If they did, something's wrong. Be faithful to your voice. Say it with love. Say it with grace. But say it with your chest. Thanks for tuning in for this week's episode of Watch What You Say podcast. If this hit home, send it to someone who you know is playing it small, someone who's powerful but polite to a fault, someone whose chest is full of truth but their mouth is scared. Next episode, we dive into closed mouths don't get fed. Until then, walk in your truth and watch what you say.